Hello everyone, my name is ToolSin. Welcome to the cnft.tools Discord server. I'm joined by Jake T and Wolf Rayette from JetplaneDAO to talk about their project, which launches in, I believe, 9 days. So, I mean,
Yes, I guess depending on the time zone, I think maybe 8 days for us. I'm not actually sure.
It's
so
an early start, but yeah, the whitelist the day before as well.
cool. So yeah, if you guys want to introduce yourselves and give us the 10-second rundown on what JetPlane is.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, I'm Jake. 10-second rundown is that we're building an we're building an incubator for Web3 crypto and NFT projects, and our goal is to launch hundreds of these through JetPlane. Wolfie?
I'm Wolf. I am the developer, I guess you could say, or the original creator. Jake and I got together. My previous project was Artifact, so I was the front end developer on that. And I worked on a bunch of other smaller projects. Yeah, I don't know what else.
Yeah, I mean, Artifact.
How do you pump your tires?
Yeah, I mean, Artifact is good work. Artifact is very good work.
Yeah, it's a really good team. Like it's everybody sort of was pretty much pros in what they do, and we're just sort of working on the plans for the next round there.
Nice. So, how did you guys get involved in crypto and NFTs in the first place?
Yeah, it's quite funny. I was thinking about this just the other day. So, Wolfie and I kind of met in a co-office workspace in New Zealand. There's no point trying to say provinces or where we are. Everyone just thinks New Zealand's New
Yeah.
Zealand. Yeah, but
Down.
yeah, that's it. We both had a sort of a natural interest in crypto, but it was actually Wolfie who more introduced me to NFTs. And he was very passionate about Cardano, and you've also been through the course with them, the dev course that they had, which you can share more information. But yeah, after that, I've been sort of piggybacking off Wolfie's knowledge in the space. Obviously, time's passed since there, and that's led us to this. But that's kind of a background from my end.
Yeah, well, like I think it was probably over a year ago now, and I did the original Plutus Pioneers developer program with IOHK, and I got really interested in the Cardano blockchain and just sort of learning about it at a deeper level, and then I came up with all these sort of ideas with reasonably small but deliverable projects that we could do to leverage some of the features of the blockchain. And the biggest problem I had was just sort of pitching or getting a team behind or getting funds to bootstrap these ideas. And so we thought, well, why don't we bootstrap that itself into an idea? So that's how I guess JetPlane came along, is to have a facility that people with some cool ideas or some cool experience can use to get started, rather than having to do everything from scratch or by yourself.
Cool. So you're going to be providing like minting services and all that sort of thing as well, then, yeah?
So a lot of it will come down to the what the squadrons want to provide as a service. So there's individual teams or squadrons that everyone has to be will join, and they have a different sort of focus. And a minting service, for example, like we haven't decided that that's something we'll do, but if it is, then a particular squadron would put some resources behind building it, and then the revenue from it will go back into that squadron. So it's more about focusing on a particular area of crypto or Web3 or NFTs, and these are sort of defined by what the squadrons are. We've announced 3 of them so far, and then giving them a bunch of resources. So they get a large pool of ADA as their main capital, but they also get some free NFT, we call them boarding passes. So a pass that lets someone do a free mint to try and attract talent into the squadrons, or potentially poach people from other squadrons. And you get a large number of promotions that you can give to your existing members that they can then use to increase the value and roles and responsibilities of their NFT. So that sort of ties into the ranks. Each of the officers have a rank, and I think there's 8 of them, and 8 ranks in total, going from lowest to highest, and the highest have the largest responsibilities and roles and potentially rewards of the project. And the idea is to sort of encourage people to want to get these higher ranks.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the problems. Oh,
I
sorry.
know I'm throwing a lot of jargon around at the moment. I'm trying not.
No, that's all right. I was just going to say, I mean, the problem space overall that we're working with is that Wolfie and I, we've founded our own startups before. We've been through incubator programs, and I had just recently finished one actually when this whole thing came about, and it was a VC led, and it was a very traditional kind of model. And there were some real great problem solving blockchain projects coming through that incubator that kind of just got snubbed. Their interests and their portfolios were more in fintech, property tech, and all those traditional means. And that's how the conversation kind of got started around, well, why don't we build something that embraces this, and we'll have the incubator process all within JetPlane, and it'll be a launch pad for these Web3 projects. So it's not just something we're saying, oh, we'll sell a bunch of NFTs and then we'll think about it later. We've actually prepared a full roadmap for it on how it's going to work, the mission that we're on to achieve it. And it's really open to anyone. You can ask us as many details as you like, but we want to attract the best minds, even if people aren't familiar with Web3. We want to create an environment where they can upskill, learn, get up to speed as quickly as possible, where they can come in with simply an idea, but they just need to be paired with the right team. They need to explore the problem space more through the process that we're going to offer. And then from there, once they've got their team, they've identified the problem space that they're in, and once they're up to speed, with this, Web3 revolution, then they'll be able to form a mission and then go through the incubator process with the right resources, the right mentors, the right guidance, just so that they're built for success. And it's our goal to put the infrastructure in place to do that. And overall the goal is to accelerate the future of Web3, but we want to be the first point of call for anyone, even if they're part of a team, just got an idea, or just new and want to upskill, for those people to come and get those projects off the ground.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's important to sort of note that the squadrons will be built up by a large mix of people with different goals and objectives. I think a portion will be people that are wanting to start projects and propose these missions, but the large proportion will be a bunch of people that are just interested and want to see the process in action and have a bit of a say in what gets produced, and potentially get some of the rewards from the project that we're funding for that squadron. So yeah, it'll be a big mix of people, but we just want people to take an active interest and sort of see how the sausage is made, I guess.
Right, so I can already see this is going to be one of my longer AMAs, because there's a lot to unpick here. It's kind of one of those ones where you don't quite know where to start. So I think
I hope that's a good thing.
We'll start with, it's according to the website, 5,625 NFTs. How much are they going to be?
Yep.
Yeah, so even that doesn't have a straight answer. So the main price is 100 ADA, and that's sort of the price to get involved, and that's for one of the officers of the lower ranks. But the wing commanders, like I mentioned, there are 8 of these ranks in ascending order. Wing commanders are halfway up the stack, and so if you want to jump in at a sort of a more leadership position, or having been closer to the ranks that share in the profits, so that's another aspect. Then they'll want to mint those, and those are 1,000 ADA. So they aren't cheap, and that's by design, as we're not looking to just get people to just buy them and flip them. These are things that you want to strategically get. But yeah, so short answer is 100 ADA. Long answer is it depends. Yeah.
So yeah, it sounds like those ones are for the people that are are very wedded to the project, and perhaps can maybe bring some extra value themselves. and
And I think
have it a lot more investment grade and
and the ranks above Wing Commander. So there are 3 more tiers above that. Begin to share in direct profits from the monthly revenue of the project. So and there's a lot of details on this in the flight plan, and it's possible to progress through these ranks, obviously. And it's reflected on your NFT. You've got a rank insignia, and there are 2 ways to progress. We call it sort of earn or burn. So each of the squadrons have a bunch of promotions available for every rank level that they'll award to people for performance or contribution. Every month there'll be more for people to get in that way, or you can take 2 of the current rank and burn 1, and that'll create the next rank up.
oh wow, so yeah, that can get quite expensive as you're moving up the levels then.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, so the sort of intrinsic value of the very top rank is 10,000 ADA from start. So it's not, those ones aren't for sale, but potentially people could earn their way to them. It's possible that they could get all the way from the lowest rank to the highest rank just on performance and not cost them anything. But that's up to the squadrons themselves. They'll vote on how these promotions are doled out.
So how are the squadrons decided? Is that linked to the NFT that you own, or is it something that you join up to after purchase?
So you choose that yourself. So when I think we haven't decided the exact date, but about a few weeks after launch, we'll open up the squadron enrollment or commissioning, it's called, and you submit your NFT. It can only be done once. You can't leave a squadron, and the squadron mission patch will be added to your NFT. And then you'll be an officer for that squadron. So basically, we want to give people the time to look at them and decide which ones suit them best. If they want to join multiple, they have to have multiple NFTs. So one officer is a member of one squadron, but each one has a different sort of theme, and it'll be very different. I guess what sort of projects they fund or what sort of investments they make. And different things will be interesting for different people, I guess.
So, I mean, that brings us on to the other fairly significant part of the start of the project, of the DAO part. How is that going to work? I mean, I'm assuming it's going to work like within squadrons and stuff.
Yes. So to start with, the DAO will be based on what missions and where the funds of each squadron get directed, but over time we want to sort of reach full autonomy where everything, including the governance and management of the project itself, is managed by a squadron. There is a lot of that we haven't announced yet, specifically to do with how the votes are weighted, and that has to do with the jet fuel token, which is earned through participation in the squadrons. And then it has a sort of a pledging mechanic with that. We're still sort of working out the exact details before we declassify that.
Well, I mean, all the hints are appreciated, that's for sure.
No doubt. Yeah, I always have to try and remember what information is redacted on the flight manual. What should we say just a moment? But it just keeps it a bit more fun. It keeps people guessing. We're not trying to hide anything purposely, but it's just rolling out the information over time.
Yeah, I think, like, as you've noticed, there's quite a lot of there's some sort of heavy concepts in this, and just unveiling it all at once is probably a little bit too much at once. So we've tried to stagger the information, and some of the decisions will be made as we progress as well. So there's sort of capacity in there for us to change the approach of things that haven't quite been announced yet.
So, do you have the voting system for the various different DAO things up and running yet, or is that something that's still yet to be developed?
We have the design for it and sort of the approach. It hasn't been built yet because we need to figure out. We're doing something a little bit different with it, rather than just I guess, one owner, one vote. We want it to be a rewards-based voting system. So, but giving people something that they value, that they're putting at risk, so you don't just vote on things. Because I find a lot of the DAOs that are out there, people vote without really understanding the proposals. And so we're trying to create a mechanic that you're putting something at risk that's not actual money, so people aren't paying to vote, but you do value the proposal succeeding. So, and it does cost you something, which is our internal token, because that way you're not, you've got a vested interest in seeing a particular proposal succeed, so you'll understand it more and only vote for ones that actually matter. Because at the end of the day, these proposals will cost money, and if the squadron spends all its resources on projects that don't succeed, the squadron itself won't succeed.
So, speaking of that, how much in the way of funding are the different squadrons going to receive for
That's a good question, because I'm not entirely sure if we've declassified it yet. I'll just check.
Gotta say, do you have the spreadsheet open there, Wolfie?
Well, it wasn't declassified, but we were going to declassify it this week, so I will do it now. I'll double check.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
I'm always down for an exclusive.
Yeah, well, this is the after this call, we'll declassify it on the website, just so we're not only making it through here. But I just need to double check before I actually say the things. Yeah, so the initial investment in each squadron, this is assuming the mint out of the project. If the project doesn't fully mint out, which we are expecting a pretty good mint, we will limit the number of squadrons. So we still want to be able to launch full squadrons because we don't want to under-resource them. They need to have every opportunity to succeed. So each squadron gets 100,000 ADA. So the main capital from the mint goes back into the squadrons. So they have 100,000 ADA as a starting investment. They also get 100 pilot officer tokens, so 100 extra people that they can entice. They get a 10 of the wing commander tokens. So if someone is a bit of a leader or they want to attract someone to really commit to the squadron, they can give them a wing commander, which the minimum value of that is 1,000 ADA. And then they've got the promotions. So there's 400 flight lieutenants, 150 squadron leaders, 30 group captains, and so as the ranks go up, the numbers decrease. But we want it to eventually have a pyramid. No, pyramid's the wrong word. Sort of a leadership structure with people who have really earned their position at the top. But yeah, the initial 100,000 ADA is performance based, and if the squadrons do well, there are other tranches that they can apply for, and that'll be voted on.
Okay, so how many squadrons are there going to be?
So to start with, there are 3 that we've announced so far. There is a 4th one which we're sort of pending announcement, but we're not going to announce that one today.
I mean, you did just kind of do that, to be fair.
So the first one was Alpha Squadron. That's more.
Yeah, I won't go into the details.
The first one was Alpha Squadron, which is sort of more of a traditional alpha group, and where they're investing in existing projects and launches. Joker Squadron is focused more on funding and launching NFT projects. And so people who have an idea for a new NFT project or a roadmap that they want funded, if people want to help build a new project. And Badger Squadron was the one we announced last week, which is instead of launching or running small greenfield new NFT projects, you get to run and operate a large existing NFT project, specifically JetPlane. So Badger will be eventually tasked with the operation of the whole project once the governance is in place properly. And then we've got more other squadrons after that, which we haven't yet announced, and that's sort of that'll be coming out soon.
So, just want to touch back on a previous point. If somebody, buys a jet plane, joins the squadron, does everything, and then decides later to sell, does the new do they then just making sure they lose all those rights, and then but the new person is able to then submit and join a squadron freely? Yeah.
Sort of. Once the squadron has been joined, it can't be left.
So,
Um,
so that NFT is always linked to that squadron from then on.
Yeah, so eventually all the NFTs will have squadrons assigned with them, because you don't earn rewards if it's not a member of a squadron. And the ones on the secondary market will have the squadrons attached. So when you join the squadron, you submit the NFT to us, and we modify it with the squadron. Same with the rank, so it's attached to the NFT, and it's visible on the artwork as well, for both the rank and the squadron.
Okay, so that then becomes part of the quote unquote rarity or whatever.
Yeah, correct. I don't think the squadron in the early stages, the actual squadron numbers probably shouldn't be used for rarity, because those things will change quite a lot as people progress through. Obviously, the higher ranks are much harder to achieve, and the minting policy, or the project policy, is open for 1 year. So the squadron joining in and rank promotions will happen throughout the year, and once that's finished, they'll be locked in forever.
So yeah, I mean, are you not concerned that some squadrons might see, or one squadron might take all of the talent and then and all of the NFTs, and then leave another squadron short-handed?
We're going to try and balance the joining of the squadrons by because we'll monitor the numbers of people joining them. There is a minimum number of officers that need to join a squadron before it becomes viable, and if a particular squadron doesn't get enough, we'll have to address that before launching it. So when we launch it, we mean giving the resources to start funding projects. I'm not really concerned. I think each of the squadrons have different mechanisms to entice members, and I think it becomes sort of like a marketing thing. You've got to prove why your squadron is the one to pitch in with.
So can you tell us a little bit about the benefits for each squadron then?
Yes. Well, these are sort of. A second, I've got the roadmap's pretty big. I wrote it, but I've got to refer back to it sometimes, and I've also got to be careful not to read out the redacted bit, because the version I've got doesn't have the redaction.
Yeah,
You see,
that's
the version where you're likely to be reading right now, anyway.
Yeah. So some of the benefits we've kind of alluded to, but we haven't announced what they actually mean yet. And to be honest, we don't want to make this we say it works this way. These are kind of conversation starters, and once the squadrons themselves have a leadership structure, it'll be up to them. Like, I'll be members of some squadrons as well, and I've got a few ideas that I want to sort of pitch in, but it's not we're setting up the framework for how it operates. We don't want to operate it. We want it to be, well, we will initially, but over time, we want it to be something that becomes self-sustaining and self-supporting. But just as an example of things that we've said, so the Alpha Squadron, like, every squadron has the same resources to start with, but they're investing, or they're putting those resources in use. So the Alpha Squadron is sort of investing in crypto and NFT markets, specifically probably more NFTs than crypto. I think that probably makes more sense. But they'll run airdrops and lotteries for NFTs from their own treasury for members. And we also have a thing called the Top Gun trading competition, which we haven't released any details on it, but there's a bit in the name there.
Yeah, we want it to modify.
Yeah. With the Joker Squadron, so that's the one funding NFT launches. So each project that we NFT launch, there'll be whitelist and free mint spots for the projects because we're funding them. So that'll be a condition of funding. And the people who get those will be the members of the squadron. And sorry, Badger Squadron. So they get a reward multiplier, which is to do with the governance token, and they'll get priority access to future JetPlane drops and projects. So JetPlane itself will be continuing projects for themselves to increase the visibility and performance of the project, and that'll be run by Badger.
So, how many of you are on the team at the minute?
Oh, Jake, I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, there's been a story in a sense, like, so Wolfie and I are the co-founders of the project, and when we luckily, it seems like we got very lucky that the office space that we worked in, there's a developer here, and he recommended an artist locally for us to get in touch with who's got an interest in the space. His name's Louis. So he's come on board, he's done all the traits. We've had a few brainstorming sessions with him about, what we want the artwork to look like. We wanted something a bit different. We didn't just want to sort of blend in. We wanted to stand out a bit, and then incorporate the squadrons and the ranks assets on top of that as well. So Louis come on board, extremely talented. We've got a great range of traits and artwork going out, and
with Louis, he was really great in that he's an incredible artist, but he is aware that we wanted amazing art, but this is not an art project. And so he's done a great job, and we're really excited for what we're releasing there. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're all right. And he's just done some great work. And if you haven't seen our launch video, go to our Twitter. It's pinned to the top. He managed to get that out in 3 days' time, which just sort of speaks volumes of his talent. And then, we realized we needed some people on board for the community side of things. We've got Fitchy, who's Dylan. He's based in the UK. He is a lifesaver as well. So you'll see him engaging with you all in our Discord channel. Not only is it just answering questions or things like that, he's responsible for the Twitter, the engagement there, but he just brings a lot to the table. He's up till 5 a.m. it seems. Geez, when I'm about to have family time, he's still working. I don't know. He loves it. He's very ingrained in the project. And we've got another guy in South Africa helping as well with the community side of things. His name's Chris. So you'll see his name pop up. That's it.
So yeah,
it's the team.
So how long ago did you decide this was what you wanted to do and start working on the project?
I think like the original concept has changed significantly over time, but I think I probably started this in, about 8 or 9 months ago.
So
it's kind of ramped it up.
That's a whole ton of preparation going into this then.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it worked out that, it just worked out earlier this year as well. I mean, we'd been back and forth talking about it for a while, but you were kind of quieting down with the artifact side of things, and I was wrapping up things, and it was just time to go, really, which is great. It's quite funny. The whole JetPlane theme started. It started with the lolly, right? So there's a lolly in New Zealand called JetPlane, and the original logo, which I'm very glad we didn't run with or anything like that. It's got this JetPlane lolly in it. And this is why we're so thankful that Louis came in to really kind of shake things up there. But we'll be able to sort of show that as when we get closer to the finish line. But Louis only been on board probably, how long would that be? About 3-4 months now. So once we had the roadmap all set out, what exactly we wanted to do, he came on board around 3-4 months ago. So what started quite slow has just snowballed into going really short and fast. So it's getting
I think it started with the squadron and the rank mechanic of having these pools of capital that people can self-govern and then get different ranks or positions within the group to sort of have this self-assigned pool of capital, and then the JetPlane concept and theme came around that.
So, how much support will you guys be providing technically for the different aspects of the stuff that's going to get proposed, or is that something that the squadrons have to deal with themselves out of the funds and everything else?
Well, I would like to back the projects technically, but I'll have to apply for my position just like everyone else. Like they, there might be other people that want to provide those services. We want it to be a sort of a fair thing. We have the resources, and I have a lot of friends in the community that can provide services to it as well. I don't want to say that we're just creating a system where we get to provide the services just ourselves. So yeah, I think I'd like to.
Yeah.
So one of the things that was mentioned and passed over earlier was the fact that in rising up the ranks, people would be able to take or get a share of the overall profits.
Yes. Yeah, so we're calling it the top brass, and for the three ranks above wing commander, they share in the monthly revenue. And so there's a few different areas where monthly revenue is derived. The primary sort of mechanism is the royalties on the secondary market, but there are other avenues, and also over time when the squadrons return their capital. And some of that'll be classed as monthly income. So 20% of that amount is shared between all three of the top ranks. Another 20% is shared between the top two ranks, and another 20% is just for the top rank. So there is significant value in that, and we don't know how much yet, but it's designed to be an incentive for rising up the ranks, and we'll be publishing how much this is, so people can then see if it is worth the next step up in rank.
So yeah, I mean, does that mean that you're going to have open accounting for everything, and obviously a way of sharing financials and everything?
Where it makes sense, I think. We're not. It's more of a logistical thing to make sure that we don't want to just create work for ourselves. So I don't want to. So, yeah. We will. Yeah. How do I say it? We're open about what we're doing. I just we've also got a lot of work to build this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, will there be a place for a member of the community to vet things and make sure everything's above board? Because obviously,
Sure, it's all on the blockchain anyway. So the wallet addresses will be public. So at a very sort of base level, the wallets themselves can be seen, and where they're sending transactions. I think as far as the top brass rewards, that will be an automatic monthly payment or claim, where we'll publish that on the website because we want people to know that. And I guess by extension of that, we'll be publishing the revenue figures for things. I hadn't actually thought about publishing it, but yeah.
I mean, obviously, some of this is going to be a little bit down the line, but it's something that people are going to be thinking about when they're, dropping 1,000 ADA on a.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's very important.
So I don't think I've ever made it this far into an AMA before talking about the art. but here we are, 40 minutes in, and we've barely even mentioned the art yet. And I'm quite a fan, actually. I do like the look of it. So how many?
Well, yeah, like we said, we're really happy with the artwork. But the concept was not an art first project. My original plan was to have a membership token rather than a PFP. But Louis provided some concepts and had some amazing stuff. We've got 10 one-of-ones that we're releasing daily at the moment. Some pretty cool ones coming out. So those will be randomly assigned during the mint.
Yeah, and I guess that I was just going to say, in terms of like the thinking of it around the jet plane theme, we didn't just want to just chuck out commanders or pilots or anything like that. We really wanted to capture what the project's about as well. And when we started to talk even like, in a sense around traditional VCs or anything like that, we didn't want to be anything or associated with it, like that kind of model. So we really wanted to incorporate some cross-culture, anti-establishment traits, which is where the mohawks and the tattoos and all that start to come through as well. So it's had that feeling of, kind of sticking it to the man feel about it across these characters that are usually quite high profile and sorts like that. So there'll be a lot of cool when the collection comes out. It looks really great, and how Louis been able to capture that. We've got a whole spreadsheet of the traits that we wanted. Some went a bit too far, which I'm glad we've pulled back on. But yeah,
you have to give us an example of one that you pulled back on.
Oh, you know which one I'm going to say, Wolfie. The blooming gag
that was
ball.
a terrible idea from the start.
There are a few shockers, but I think the gag ball was probably the worst one. I look back and think, well, why would anyone want to display that? Why would anyone want to own that? So there are a few ones, and we're just trying not to push Louis too far as well in terms of what he could produce, but he's done an amazing job and has created so many. But I think the gag ball takes the cake.
The brief has definitely expanded from what we originally got him on board for.
Well, the gimp mask was another shocker that we should have never even toyed with. So those are a couple of them.
What are you trying to say here, Jake?
Were they ever drawn up?
No,
I don't think. I think I actually removed them from the spreadsheet before Louis saw them.
Fair. So, what are your guys' favourite traits then?
What are my favourite traits? I don't want to give too much away. You guys will have to see.
Yeah, this is where
the one of one that we're revealing this afternoon or tonight is probably one of my favourites.
I know that's your favourite. Coming out tonight, so stay tuned for that. I mean, to be honest, I quite like how we've captured, just a lot of diversity as well. We've got our female male characters, which are great. I love seeing like the rainbow mohawks and the tongue out and a few of those in your face traits. In terms of picking out a favorite, I don't know. I don't know. I can't pick a favorite, but yeah, some of the one-to-one series coming out, especially the one tonight, is a real goodie.
Is there any special roles associated with the one-of-ones, or are they just one-of-ones?
I think they're just one-of-ones. They function in the project like everything else. They have a rank, and they'll have to pick a squadron. But they're just randomly assigned. During the mint, the ranks there will be some randomness in the ranks. Not everybody will be the lowest or a wing commander. There is some distribution through the lower ranks that people can get there as well. But as far as the one-of-ones, they're just super rare, I guess.
So
we want the roles and we wanted to keep the roles and responsibilities tied to the squadron and the rank.
So we've had a couple of questions filtering through chat already. If anyone has any questions, feel free to post them up, and I'll make sure the team get a chance to answer them. Good one popped up here a bit ago. How will flippers buying who don't plan to be involved in the project in a long-term capacity affect the squadron and projects? And probably.
And I think this is probably why we wanted to have a little pause between the mint and the squadron sign up. It's not like once people are in squadrons, it's still not going to affect things. But we wanted things to just settle down a little bit after the mint because the price fluctuates quite a lot and people just sort of coming in and going in the project. We want people that have actually read the flight plan and sort of understand and want to contribute to the governance and the longevity of the project. And I think that sort of naturally coalesces over time after the mint. There's always going to be people coming in and out of a project. The squadrons, we've only got 3 of them to start with, and 5,000 plus NFTs. So there'll be a few thousand people, or 1,500 up to 1,500 to 2,000 people per squadron. So I don't think the flippers will really impact the governance. But they also won't be the ones that rise to the top by earning ranks. So the ranks are awarded for participation and for people that want to get involved or burn too. That's not really what flippers will be there for. They can, and there's plenty of opportunity to derive expected value from these and potentially identify underpriced assets. So there definitely is a place for trading it, but I think long term the project will fill up with people that want to participate.
So have you? I mean, like, unfortunately, the way flippers don't read roadmaps. Are you expecting any type of backlash or FUD as a result of flippers finding out that, oh, hang on a minute, this isn't something that's all of a sudden is going to be worth 150 million ADA?
Well, it does have potential to increase in price, and I think but it's value driven. So I think rather than it just being a straight speculation, people who understand the potential value of the project executed right, that'll drive the underlying price of the asset, which price appreciation, they'll see that and respond to it. Without reading it, you can just look at the price and potentially profit on it. I think I don't know. It's not something that's been done before, as far as I'm aware. So I don't think we've got a lot of prior data to look back on for this. So it should be quite interesting, I think.
Another question that's been kind of touched on, but was do you have any safeguards in place as regards the price of ADA and the volatility of ADA? If, say, for instance, obviously today, 100,000 ADA is worth what it's worth, but if that then, in 2 weeks' time is half that.
Well, this is a problem that we need to address once we're underway. The main treasury will need to be actively managed against capital loss. There's only so much you can do in crypto, I guess, because we're a DAO, so we're not transferring into fiat currency, but we might look at ways to mitigate loss, and there are ways to do that, and consultants that will help with that, I guess. But I think once the main pool of capital will need to be reserved in some way. We also want to have exposure to potential gains as well, because I personally feel like ADA is massively oversold at the moment. So there's potential upside there too.
Yeah, I mean, there's not going to be a problem if all of a sudden ADA goes back up to $3. That's that people are going to moan about.
But it does need to be actively managed there as well. So you want to make sure that those gains are not transient, so you can potentially lock in some of them. And it comes down to sort of active portfolio management of the overall treasury, and I think the role of that will fall to the Badger Squadron itself, where they're in charge of managing the main treasury. Obviously, the keys to that will have to be managed closely. Like, we're looking at a multi-sig for all the wallets, exploring some options there.
So
yeah, and with the ADA continually to go down, it's not. Yeah, we haven't even. Hasn't even come into our thought process that we can't do this even at the the rate at the moment and the bear market. We did have that question about launching during a bear market, and is it the right time, especially for what we're looking to build. And for us, it's as bear as it is at the moment, it's still something that we'll be able to do, even though the value's gone down considerably since we rolled out a flight manual and everything like that. So I guess it's being a bit bullish in that, but also being best prepared for the consequences that may come, which is something we'll definitely address.
Yeah, and I think this is something Jake and I sort of chatted about at length, but I see it as less of launching in a bear market, but launching it in a recovering market. And I think the people who make the outsized rewards and really kill it in crypto are the ones who build stuff when the market's recovering. And sort of over time, the people that have started projects while the prices have been sort of going on their hockey stick upward trajectory, those are the teams that really kill it. And so we want to back those teams, I guess. We're funding us, like the project is well funded enough to launch a large number of projects, and those not all of them will succeed, but the ones that do will help propel other projects up. So it should be self-sustaining.
So a difficult question to ask, but what's the minimum number you need to sell to make this viable? So, for instance, if you only sold 1,500,
I think we do have a worst case scenario. I think it was a 25%, which is pretty low. Like 25%, and we'd look at collecting everything into a single squadron. And that gives us enough capacity to launch that squadron fully and have some backup to keep funding it a little bit if it needs more capital, because we don't want to just put everything into one thing. But yeah, I'd say 25%, and yeah, we're pretty confident that we're going to do much better than that. But yeah, we do have to look at it.
I mean, it's also another one of those mints where not instantly selling out does actually help you in some ways, in the fact that
and that's like
that goes on, and the fact that that obviously you don't have mass crowds of flippers, so that's a problem removed.
100%, and I think this is why we've got or one of the reasons why we have the two different priced tokens is that we probably expect the officers meant to the larger volume to sell out reasonably quickly, or to have a lot of volume behind it. But the wing commanders, they're quite expensive, but there's a reason behind that, and that'll be an ongoing mint. It doesn't need to sell out immediately, and I think those ones are the ones that once people get the concept and they see what the value of getting to the higher ranks are, and that's when that'll start to pick up steam, and they'll be more sought after. I think there's 550 of them in total. I might be wrong. I might sell it immediately. I'm not going to complain if that's the case. But the wing commanders are sort of a bit of an unknown, because I haven't seen any mints anywhere near that price. But we'll see.
So yeah, again, this is all those projects. I feel like there's so much I'm missing already. We've been chatting about it for nearly an hour now, and I still feel like there's more layers to be uncovered. So, has there been anything major that I've missed out on so far that you wanted to make sure got some attention?
Jay?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that we do direct people to the flight manual quite often. I think when we talked about like the overall mission without going into the details of the squadron. So when people say, what is it that your goal is? Like, what is it that you're wanting to achieve? And, that's basically where put it as a tagline or whatever. It's just to build we're building that airbase, that incubator, and that launch pad for those Web3 projects. How it all operates is where the squadrons come in and the ranks and so forth. And that's where you've got to take a bit of a deeper look at the flight manual to sort of grasp the concept of that. But what I guess we've been trying to do, especially over the last few weeks, is not confuse people. I think when we kick off things and we talk, go into the squadrons, the ranks, it can get quite confusing. But to really simplify it, I just say if this is something that you've wanted to be part of, not Jetplane, not even the NFT space, but just the Web3 space in general. If you're a believer in it, if you just want to participate in it through the community, the voting side of things, if you've got an idea, you just want to find like-minded people, you might be, I don't know, a finance person, you want to be teamed with a marketing person, a dev, you want to find your people to explore your idea with, to launch possibly your own DAO, and you want the right people around you. Those are the people that we want to attract. So there's the details of it, which I really don't want people to get too lost in. And we've got to build confidence that we're the right team to do it. We're quite, how do you say it? Well, we're quite seasoned, should I say? We've had long careers. We've founded our own businesses. We've got good contacts in the space, and we've been through the process ourselves. And we just really, it's about saying this is how we think it's done best. But we have to be open to, once it starts, modifying that and adjust to the conditions and the environment, which will be an ongoing development as well. But we're really excited. A lot of thought, a lot of details gone into it. The model of how projects get incubated and go from basically idea to launch is something that, one, we've been through, but we've put a lot of work into sort of adjusting it as well around how people can do that.
Yeah, I think Jake said it pretty well. I think we've covered off a lot of the stuff that is available on the flight menu. Sorry, the jet fuel and the internal token. Like every project has an internal token these days, but we've put it to a use that these tokens were originally intended for. Like it's to provide a non-monetary value to a project that people do value, and give a intrinsic way for people to contribute without having to just tip in extra cash, and potentially get value out of it as well. But we don't want to release too much of that just yet. And I think that'll be coming out just after we've launched. Yeah, it's a pretty exciting project. Like it's just every day we just get up and it's getting bigger and bigger. And it really excites me when people tell me that they've actually read the roadmap and start to understand what I've put into it, because we did really try to explain something that's quite complex in a way that is still fun, but also makes it clear on what we're trying to achieve.
So can I assume that you're going to be listing on cnft.tools?
Yes, we are.
I mean, I know that already, obviously, but I did want to get that on the video at some point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we're
pretty happy. We've got the number one spot in the upcoming projects, so we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, a couple of other great projects have just finished, which has kind of freed up that space there, which has really helped. But
we'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe there's anything else minting around the same time as you guys.
No, I've sort of been waiting for someone to come in and announce them.
I do feel like the TED Nation mint was affected by the Deadly Sins mint.
Yeah, they were pretty close. They both did really well, but those the two, between the two of those, I think they definitely sucked out the rest of the air for any other smaller projects launching. So we're quite happy that we've got the stage a little bit for around the 7th.
Yeah, I mean, like there are a few things popping up on the calendar, but yeah, there's nothing big and hyped coming up right now. In fact, you guys are the most upvoted on the calendar right now, anyway. So that kind of says that.
Well, we always appreciate more votes for anyone that's listening.
It was going to be July 4th originally to be on theme with Independence Day, but then we thought about launching on a public holiday would probably be a bad idea. But it was quite on theme, so we pushed it out to the 7th, and that's, I think just helped in terms of, as I've already said, with those other two big projects finishing up.
Yeah, I actually, sorry, I did think of something that we touched on, is that Jake was saying before that we want to encourage people, like not everyone can afford to get involved. Like even 100 can be quite an investment. We've got a group called the Spec Ops team or Spec Ops group. That's specifically for people that want to just get involved and be a part of it without having to pay for them in. And so we're picking people from those groups that participate and get the word out there and really help us launch the project. We've got a bunch of the officers and also a couple of the wing commander ones for the people who really want it. But yeah, so there's no reason not to get involved.
So if you've got skills, come along and get involved, and the ADA side doesn't matter as much.
Exactly. Yeah. Like pre-launch, it's getting the name out there, and post-launch, it'll be picking a squadron and really taking an active role. So potentially, like a participant could come in with for zero cost and get promoted all the way up the ranks, because there is a way to get promoted through effort as well. We want to encourage people who are willing to put in the work and grind.
I mean, do those guys have a role themselves? Like maybe call them ground crew or something?
Well, they were actually originally called the ground crew, but then we I think I got outvoted.
Well,
that was
I'm a fan of the idea anyway.
Yeah, that was the inspiration behind the name of Badger Squadron, because Badgers spend their time on the ground, and that is the squadron for ground support for JetPlane. Yeah, more of my terminology that kind of gets lost.
Well, yeah. Let's hope they're as rampant as honey badgers are.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think as well with that, around how we said earlier about educating people in the space, and even if you're new to Web3 or you want to bring an idea but you just need to upskill in that area, it's our job to make sure that those resources in terms of upskilling and people getting across the space is more freely distributed, not just exclusively for members. It's when they're ready to take flight that they step into JetPlane a bit more. But it's really our goal to be an advocate for Web3 as a whole. So in providing those resources and upskilling entrepreneurs and people who just want to be involved in the space is part of our mission as well. So
here's a fun question for you. Everyone talks about Web3 this, Web3 that. What does that mean for you guys? Because it's a very expansive term.
Well, this is and this sort of extends beyond Web3. Is even the name DAO is pretty controversial these days. Like all these terms are overloaded, and people just use them in sort of any respect. I think for me, Web3 is any project or initiative that's using sort of distributed blockchain technology at its foundation. It's kind of a catch-all term, so I don't know. I guess I'll let the squadron decide.
It's something a little bit different for everybody. So it's
I think
interesting
for me,
to find how different people view it.
Yeah, and it can even be authentication, because now with wallets, proving ownership of an NFT, allowing authentication to things. It's not necessarily buying or selling crypto or NFTs. It's authenticating and proving identity on distributed platforms. So even those projects count as Web3.
Yeah, and for myself, it's around ownership. I mean, I spent a number of years working for Matomo, which is a privacy alternative to Google Analytics, where we advocated for data privacy, data ownership, and all those kind of things. And this space is the place for it. We're going into that next level where people have more ownership. So that's my passion area in it, and having more control to yourself rather than everything being stored in clouds and things like that. So yeah.
So yeah.
So I'm starting to get my marching orders out of this room. I'm gonna have to move rooms soon. So please hold.
Well, I mean, I think we're getting to the point where we can start looking at rounding it up anyway, if we've got everything. If there's any more questions at all from anyone, feel free to fire them into the chat, either in the AMA chat itself or into NFT chat. But if there's no writing popping up, I think it's probably a fairly good time to round up.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for having us on the chat. It's I love these things because I get to talk a lot, but also just sort of flesh out the idea a little bit more, because a lot of it's me sitting here by myself, writing it into the manual and talking to Jake about it online. But talking about it out loud, sort of I don't know. It's good to explore the ideas a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's always nice to have an outsider's perspective on it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know in the past with a couple of projects I've asked questions or made a little comment and like, oh, hadn't thought of that, or I need to check that out, or we can incorporate that by changing this, that, and the other, and we really like that idea. So
yeah, and I think that's kind of a feature, not a bug, of the system, is that we wanted to build it in such a way that it can be flexible. We don't it's quite a complex beast, the whole thing. And I don't think that we'll get absolutely everything right from day dot, but we need to put in enough sort of safeguards that it can adapt based on what people want and how the sort of market's reacting to things.
yeah, I mean, it's something about the nature of the DAO. People need to be on the same page. Because if they, there's going to be enough disagreements with people even, working on the same page as, people working at cross purposes against each other.
Yeah, and I think that's where we see this rank coming into it
safeguards
a little bit
to, prevent, one or two vocal people from shouting over people with less forceful personalities.
And I think this area is an area that it's still not to be decided, but there are a number of different ways that we can go. And I think having the ranks in place of people that have earned their spot or really value their position in it, you can give different roles and rights. So, for example, for proposals, you've got the people who write them, and then the people who support a project proposal before it goes up for vote. So not everything just, you say something and gets voted on. There needs to be discussion beforehand, especially because you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially being invested. These aren't just, I've got an idea, post a paragraph, get funded. It's there will be people that can work with people to help them flesh out the idea and get it ready for proposal. That process is, we don't want to make it too rigid, but we also don't want to make it so that it's just a single Discord post with an emoji vote on it.
Yeah, I mean, another question that springs to my mind is, are all votes strictly, majority plus one? So, if there's 100 votes, if you got 51, then the motion carries, or are you going to require a high level of affirmation for at least some votes?
Without giving too much away, I can say it's complicated. But it very much comes down to the jet fuel token. And like I said, putting assets on the line to back the proposal that you want to go through. A vote won't be zero cost, but it won't cost you much.
Okay, so yeah. I mean, I kind of want to ask questions that you don't want to answer now.
Well, we can definitely have another discussion closer to the time. But yeah, once we've just because there's certain considerations that we need to take into account when doing this way. And some of them are legal considerations, and we need to make sure that we're doing things properly. We want this to be a long-term project, and that's mostly around creating a token with value that isn't a security.
Yeah.
So we need to approach that carefully, I guess.
So just to leave you with a final question is, after the mint has happened and everything's gone swimmingly well, everything like that, how long is it before your first like major announcement and alpha release?
So we've got a roadmap, sort of an internal one. We're trying to keep it to sort of 3 or 4 weeks between major steps, just because we want to give things time for people to understand what's coming up, especially because some of them are sort of you need to think about the decision you're making. So the first one I think will either I'm not sure which one was first, squadrons or promotions. I think it was squadrons. And then we'll run that for a little while and let people join the squadrons, and then we'll open up the promotion so people can start ranking up and leveling up. And then there'll be the launch of the actual funds.
Yeah, it'll be starting the engagement basically straight away, making sure people understand it, as Wolfie said, before opening them up, and just being on hand to answer all questions, educating. Obviously, would like to take probably a few days break. Luckily, it's the weekend.
I mean, every project has that idea that they're like, oh, what? Once we sold out, we can rest. Like, no, that doesn't happen.
That's where it starts.
3 days alone.
Yeah, but we want to keep it like it kind of annoys me in some projects where they've got all these plans or vague ideas of what's going to happen after launch, and we wanted to take a different approach because, like, without sort of sounding too critical, some projects I feel like success was unexpected, and they're surprised that they sold out, and they have to backfill the functionality and what are we going to do now to keep the momentum. Whereas we've sort of come from the different angle, maybe egotistically, but we've decided that we're going to be a success. And what does that look like? What resources are available? What's going to happen? And what's the timeline to deliver on what we've been saying? And then work backwards to the mint date. So yeah, I'm pretty confident, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it all sounds good. I'm looking forward to getting one myself. So yeah, I've got my little token waiting in my wallet to be able to get my free mint. So I'm quite thankful for that one.
Yeah, because you won that in the competition, didn't you?
Yeah, somehow I managed to win the invite competition.
Oh, that's good. Those are the
just having
passes.
my links everywhere on cnft.tools, and
So we've got a bunch of those boarding passes to give away coming up to launch, and a few of I think you got one of the officer boarding passes. We do have some Wing Commander ones as well. That are up for grabs, so there'll be opportunities if people keep an eye on the Discord, and those have some real value. Everything value, but we want to see some pretty exciting and creative ways that people want to get those.
Yeah, I mean, make sure you get on the Discord, make sure you start taking part, say hello.
And you'll have to think about what
surprisingly good thing. It's a surprisingly good way of getting to know people, is saying hello. Funnily enough.
Yeah, for sure.
Popular one. But yeah, I would just like to say first, thanks for having us on, ToolSin. But for anyone listening, please do vote us for CNFT Tools. We really value those votes as well. I don't know if we're allowed to say it, but we're starting to wrap up the whitelist as well. It's getting far more exclusive in who we can offer spots to. So getting quick. If listeners are listening to this and want a whitelist spot, ToolSin, hopefully we can arrange something there. But in terms of the details, the whitelist pre-sale is going out Wednesday, 6th of July. Don't get it confused. At 4 p.m. at UTC, and then on Thursday, the 7th of July at 4 p.m. UTC. So I'm across so many different time zones at the moment, trying to remember which one's going out when. But
See
on
that's
Universal
commitment
Tom.
when you're in New Zealand and you're setting times at 4 p.m. UTC for a mint.
Yeah,
That's commitment.
that's 4 a.m. for us.
4 a.m. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's going to be a couple of big
I
days.
feel for you guys on that one.
Yeah,
And
we
not
tried to
just this
negotiate
mint,
it.
every bloody mint. Like not just this one, every bloody mint.
Yeah,
Everything that happens around the world, we're up in the middle of the night, so I think we're used to it.
You see, one thing I didn't ask that I often ask that I'd be quite interested for you guys. What was the first CNFT that you guys minted yourselves?
What was the CT? That's a good question.
Sorry, cut out ToolSin. What was that question?
What was the first CNFT that you minted?
I think yours was the Moon project from Artifact, wasn't it, Jake?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't think of what my first one was.
I can see you made a strong, close, and personal bond with that project. Then
Sorry, is that
for the person who couldn't remember what their first mint was.
Well, it probably lost me money. Yeah, I think the first project that I got deeply involved with was Moon and Artifact because I helped them with their launch. Yeah, I honestly can't tell you. That was a unsatisfactory answer.
I mean, you were part of a project that counts, I guess. But yeah, like it's kind of fun to find out these things.
Yeah. Yeah, I was because originally I was sort of buying a lot of ETH NFTs. But yeah, I can't remember
you've
what my
since
first.
seen the light and moved full time over to CNFTs, obviously. Yeah.
Well, I think all my Ethereum ones have pretty much gone to zero anyway. So.
I've got a couple of ETH ones that I won in giveaways. I've never ever funded my wallet, so I've never been able to sell them. So yeah, I'm just waiting for the day where they go up in price just enough to pay for the gas fee to sell them.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of the reasons we chose Cardano is that like I've just found the community like without it sounding cliche is just like completely different here. And even Solana and Ethereum, that it's just there's so much noise and there's so much crap being launched. The communities on Cardano, like the people actually seem to care about the projects and want to read about them and get involved. You do have people coming in and flipping, but that's fine. Like that, I think that creates a healthy and liquid market. But you also want the people to stick around and support the project. And most of the projects that I've sort of been involved with, I've been on their Discord for a long time, and long after mint, these people are still engaged and not just asking about the floor price.
Yeah, I mean this. I mean, I've not been involved in ETH NFTs at all, really. But as much as it's we all know it's a bear market right now. You go into any project, Discord or anything like that, certainly doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, and they're still doing
I don't know if that's
a lot of
the
the
case
projects
on
are.
ETH and Solana, but the only reason I know that it's a bear market is because I can see the numbers.
Yeah, and a lot of the ETH projects, like I'm still in the Discords for some of the ones that I hold. They're just ghost towns now. A lot of them, like they're picking up again, I think. But yeah, just the motivation there. I feel like the motivation's a little Cardano, and I hope we manage to get a lot of these people in our one because we want to create an environment where people can get involved in projects at a deeper level.
Well, ETH have still got a rather nasty hard fork to manage yet before they can be relevant long term. Because if they don't manage it soon, they'll be regulated out of existence.
Yeah, well, I've definitely not been paying attention to anything for a while now, but yeah.
Yeah, countries are getting rather annoyed about the massive amounts of power and coal that's been burned to provide for all the graphics cards and everything. So
Yeah, no,
I mean, like, it was quite interesting the speed that they came out with that. Oh yeah, we're going to move to proof of stake. Just like literally within a couple of weeks of a couple of countries saying, look, this can't happen anymore.
well, that's how long the announcement takes. How long
Yeah,
does the rollout?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's been postponed a couple of times already, isn't it? So
Yeah. Oh, well, but that's like
yeah,
Cardano is sort
yeah.
of
I mean, it's
a
one of
long
those
play.
things where you kind of hope it goes badly because then everyone's just going to come over to Cardano. But what kind of structural damage is that going to inflict Ethereum having like those kinds of issues?
Well, that's it. I think the market is big enough to support multiple sort of main chains. Um, yeah, I think Cardano's sort of slow and steady approach to things, but that will ultimately win out,
I
and just sort
mean,
of building on the strength of the network.
I mean, I do totally believe that. It's just one of those things where like Ethereum being a flagship chain, having the kind of issues that they could do in a hard fork makes me worry about destroying trust by proxy in other chains.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think I don't wish anybody to lose money or for anything to go down. Like I didn't have anything in Luna or UST, but that was a watch. Um, yeah,
But yeah, it's a fun market with a lot to consider.
yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah,
You don't get bored.
that's the thing. It's kind of funny when people come into chat and they're like, what NFT should I get? And then you end and you're like, well, do you want high risk or low risk? It's like, oh, hang on a minute, we're NFTs. Everything's flipping high risk.
Yeah, well, hopefully it'll. I think the market will settle down over time and become more mature.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I think it'll be the projects offering value and actually, and that includes some of the art projects as well. Is that ones that offer value to its members are the ones that'll succeed over time.
yeah, I mean, what people easily forget is that we're not making long term investments aren't 6 months long. They're 6 years, 10 years, and
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
as much as it's a rough market now, it could be great in 3 years. It could crash back down in 5 years, and it go even higher in 7 years, and then in 10 years' time, we could be right where we are. But
You might make it.
like
Yeah,
that's the nature of how it could go.
absolutely.
But yeah, I think I'm starting to ramble a little bit, so I'll let you guys off the hook. And thank you very much for coming on for an AMA.
Well,
It's
thanks
been
very much.
super
Yeah, we're
nerdy.
excited to have you minting with us as well, and you'll have to pick which squadron you're going to get involved with.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
If somebody's unlucky enough to be watching this back on YouTube, having not been able to make it live, feel free to give it a share and a like, and even subscribe for the next AMA that's going to be coming up in the fairly near future. Again, thank you to JetplaneDAO for turning up, had an awesome time with you guys and your community.
Thanks.
Excellent.
Sorry, I lost about the
Thank you
last
for having
5
us.
minutes moving rooms and dropping laptops, but thank you for having us, ToolSin. Stay in touch.
Thanks a lot,
Cool. All right.
mate. Look forward to seeing you all soon.
Thanks a
Okay,
lot. Bye
cheers.
bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheerio.